Frank, hurry. Mr. Bergeron's on. Don't forget the popcorn, Frank.
Coming, dear.
Okay, good. Hello. Thank you for coming to today's presentation. My name is Arthur Bergeron. I'm an attorney at Myrick O'Connell, and I am really kind of privileged to be here at the invitation of the folks from the Council on Aging here in Clinton. And thanks also to the Clinton Cable Company for rebroadcasting these. We realize that there are a lot of folks who can't make these presentations during the day, and so we really appreciate the rebroadcasts. I've been doing a series of presentations here, and this is the last one, to deal with questions surrounding really my clients Frank and Mary. My clients Frank and Mary and their children Peter, Paul, and Mary Jr. They've got very simple goals. They own their home, they've got 3 kids, they want to die, and they want to be buried in the backyard. And then if one of them dies, they want to leave everything to the other one, and then when the 2 of them have died, they want to divide things among their kids. It's very, very simple. The question, and they're going to be okay during their lifetimes because they've paid off their mortgage, they've got some savings, but the question is, if Mary gets sick, or if Mary starts being forgetful and demonstrating some perhaps symptoms of dementia, what do? We've talked in previous presentations about kind of what they do in the long run if Mary is really sick and they need to really look at the alternatives between nursing homes and assisted livings and staying at home. We've talked to some of the folks who are here today regarding what the options are there and some of the programs that are available. But for so many people, the initial question is, well, you know, my wife's really not looking that great, or my mother is, or my aunt is. How do I tell? And then what do I do? So that's really what today is about. It's how do I tell and what do I do? To talk about how do I tell, we've asked Julie McMurray to come. Julie works for the Alzheimer's Association. She is the Alzheimer's Association of Massachusetts and New Hampshire, a subset of the National Alzheimer's Association. There is no group better suited to let you know whether you've got a problem and what to do next than the Alzheimer's Association. So I wanted Julie to be talking to you a little bit about how you can tell whether there is a problem, what that problem might be, and kind of what your next steps might be after that. Julie.
Great. Thank you, Arthur.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. As Arthur mentioned, my name is Julie McMurray, and I am the Regional Manager for the Central Regional Office of the Alzheimer's Association. I am part of the Massachusetts-New Hampshire chapter, and then we are part of the National Alzheimer's Association, and there are chapters throughout the United States. But our mission at the Alzheimer's Association is to enhance care and support for people living with Alzheimer's, their families, and their caregivers. We are one of the largest funders of research. I would like to be out of a job someday. We are working towards finding a cure or a means of prevention, and we are very hopeful. But we also try to educate people on ways to reduce your risk for developing Alzheimer's disease. Primarily what my role is at the Alzheimer's Association is really to provide education. I do a lot of educational programs throughout Worcester County and awareness programs. We try to connect people to the Alzheimer's Association to provide you with support, information and referral, and again, education. The number that's on the screen right now is our helpline. It is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week helpline. It is accessible no matter what time you call. Our helpline really is the gateway to other services. You call that, you speak to someone, we can really help to navigate some of the community resources, to answer your questions, to talk about if you're noticing some signs or symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, we can point you in the right direction. So that is, I think, a very important phone number to have. And I should also mention that everything we do with families, individuals, caregivers is free of charge. I think it's important to note some of the statistics regarding Alzheimer's disease. We know right now in the United States that over 5 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's disease. Age is the biggest risk factor, and we are living a lot longer than we did 30 and 40 years ago. Every 67 seconds, someone develops Alzheimer's disease. It is currently the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. 1 in 3 seniors die with Alzheimer's or another type of dementia. And in 2013, there were over 15 million family and friends, caregivers, providing 17 billion hours of unpaid care that's valued at over $220 billion. So how many of you here forget? Yes, we all forget. Forgetfulness really is part of normal aging. We usually have slower recall than we were younger as we age. That's pretty typical. We have more difficulty recalling things like names when you meet somebody in a grocery store and you walk away going, what was their name? We have a harder time multitasking, and we have more difficulty overlooking unimportant information. These are all typical. And as we age, we do forget. The concern lies is when that forgetfulness interferes with normal day-to-day activities. We are all creatures of habit. We usually get up at the same time, we might have breakfast, we might take a shower, we might go about our day. The concern is all of a sudden you maybe aren't getting up like you normally were, you're not taking care of your personal needs, you're not eating well, you go into the refrigerator and everything's expired, and we're relying more and more on family and friends to get you to doctor's appointments and make sure you have food in your refrigerator and that they're paying your bills because you're not able to. Those are some of the concerns. I often get the question, what is the difference between Alzheimer's disease and dementia? And dementia isn't a disease or a diagnosis in and of itself. Dementia really describes a set of symptoms, and these are the warning signs. Memory loss. Usually the first warning sign that we notice is short-term memory loss. There's problems with language. There's increased confusion to time and place. There's changes in visual and spatial perception. There's poor and decreased judgment. So on a beautiful, hot day, someone that's wearing layers and layers of clothes. Problems with thinking, planning, and organizing tasks. So if you're used to baking cinnamon muffins, and all of a sudden you're forgetting key ingredients, that could be a warning sign. Changes in mood and behavior, someone that has a catastrophic reaction to something that otherwise would have just rolled off their back. And changes in personality, okay? So those are the symptoms of dementia and an illness that causes these symptoms. So there's many different types of dementia. Alzheimer's is the most common form. Okay, so there are some irreversible types of dementia. They are Alzheimer's disease. It's estimated that 70% of all dementias are of the Alzheimer's type. Vascular dementia, which is brought on by a stroke or a series of smaller strokes, is a type of dementia. Parkinson's disease does have a dementia component. There's a type of dementia called Lewy body dementia. There's a type of dementia called frontal temporal lobe dementia or Pick's disease. But those are the commonest forms of dementia. There's also some illnesses that can cause those dementia-like symptoms, but they're treatable. And this is why a diagnostic workup is so important to determine what's going on. Those reversible or treatable illnesses are a brain tumor causing pressure on your brain can cause somebody to be more confused, to have some changes in mood and behavior. Normal pressure hydrocephalus, which is fluid on the brain, can cause somebody to mask symptoms of dementia like confusion and disorientation. Any type of infection, urinary tract infection, a kidney infection can cause somebody to be more confused. Vitamin B12 deficiency. Depression often masks the symptoms of dementia, and medication side effects or reaction. This is why it's so important, if you're noticing some of those symptoms that I talked about, to talk to your doctor to determine, could it be Alzheimer's disease, or do you have a vitamin B12 deficiency? Okay, because sometimes those symptoms are treatable.
Frank, hurry, Mr. Bergeron's on. Don't forget the popcorn, Frank.
Coming, dear.
Why is it important to get a diagnosis? Is to rule out the reversible causes, infection, brain tumor, depression. Assess to symptomatic treatments. What else is going on? What else can be treated? Plan for the future. We at the Alzheimer's Association talk about being proactive rather than reactive, to get the information so that if you have the information you can make good decisions, to treat health and stroke related risk factors. Diagnosis can expand medical support network. You can't go it alone with Alzheimer's disease. You need to have a team. We hope the Alzheimer's is part of your team. We hope that other community resources, your doctors, are part of that team, and to get involved in research. We have a program called Trial Match that we connect individuals to clinical trials, and that really is the key to finding a cure or means of prevention. Again, calling our 800 number really gives you access to a lot of other services. And it's really the gateway for information, education, awareness, support groups, and they are key. We do care consultation where we'll meet with families, develop an action plan, and help navigate the community resources. As I mentioned, our education programs, I brought a calendar of programs that we're offering for the next few months. We have many publications that talk about knowing the 10 signs, the basics of Alzheimer's. Our helpline cards are over at that table, as well as trainings. We offer some good educational trainings for families, on how to take care of your loved one with Alzheimer's disease. We provide multicultural outreach. We have a program called a Medic Alert Safe Return. It's a wanderer's alert system. Individuals with Alzheimer's, wandering is a very big concern, and we understand that 6 out of 10 people will wander. So we team with Medic Alert, and a person gets registered into a database, and it works in Massachusetts, it works in Florida, it works throughout the United States. And we are the liaison. If your loved one wanders, you call the Safe Return helpline, and we work with our local police departments, our search and rescue teams, first responders to get your loved one home. As I mentioned, support groups, we have over 200 support groups throughout Massachusetts that provide support for caregivers, but we also have some for people in the early stages of the disease. We do a lot of public policy and advocacy work to make sure quality of care for individuals living in nursing homes and assisted livings are good. And we also, again, are the leaders in research. We are very hopeful that by mid-century, we will have means of prevention for Alzheimer's disease. Again, call our helpline if you're concerned about yourself or your loved ones, we can really help you access the best medical care and all the information and really help provide you with support throughout the journey. And we know that people on average can live 8 to 10 years, and we'd like to be that support for you. And I thank you for your time.
Julie, thank you very, very much. Julie is really terrific, and so is her boss, the Alzheimer's Association. And remember, everything that she just talked about, all the services that are provided, are free, right? They are supported. That's one of the reasons why we try working with the Alzheimer's Association in terms of fundraising, because they're all supported by donations. So the two basic things to know about when you're starting to face these issues is, first, the services. There are a lot of services across a whole variety of locations, and it's very hard to navigate. But second, that there are people there to help you navigate it. The Alzheimer's Association is one of the really big ones, right? The other really, really big one, throughout the state, there are organizations called Aging Services Access Points, or ASAPs. The state is divided into areas. Each area is served by a nonprofit organization that helps folks in the communities in that area to navigate the system, and also actually helps them with resources, provides programs, money that comes from either the federal or the state government. Here in Clinton, Montechusett Elder Services is the entity that, Montechusett Home Care is the entity, the Aging Services Access Point, that is in charge of all of the services for this area. If you don't know them, you're never going to, you're going to have a lot of trouble figuring out where those services are and what might be available. And I guess I would really urge you, if you've got someone who's got early stage, they may have dementia, even before that, just as an elder, give them a call, let them know who you are, let them know where you're living, what your needs are. You may be entitled to services right now by virtue of your income that you didn't even know you were eligible for. So you want to be talking to these folks. We asked Joyce Ryan from Montechusett to talk to us a little bit about the services that are provided by Montechusett, and also in general, and also specifically how those services might apply in a situation like this. If you've got a loved one that may be experiencing some memory loss and you might be worried about dementia, and just to talk about the programs that are available and the way in which to get involved with them. Joyce.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. My name's Joyce Ryan. I'm a licensed social worker, and I work at Montechusett Home Care. I've been there for almost 9 years, and I coordinate a program for caregivers caring for loved ones. So I talk to a lot of caregivers during the day, and it's very stressful being a caregiver. I know that. So Montechusett Home Care is a nonprofit. We serve 21 communities in this area, and we actually give services to aging adults and also disabled adults. We also try to support their caregivers. That's really important. Many family members are struggling to help people stay home, and that's our mission, to help keep people in their homes as long as possible and as safely as possible. So one of the things that people do, and it's really important, ASAPs across the state, there's 27 of agencies across the state that do exactly the same thing we do in different regions. And so the first thing you should do is call them. They will send an assessor into the home and go out and see what services you'd be eligible for, what your needs are, what does the person needing services really want, and try to figure that all out. They'll go through your income to see how much you would pay for the services. In many cases, if you're very low income, you would pay very small amounts, maybe $7 a month for any kind of services. In other cases, you might be paying up to $70 a month, depending on what your income level is. So one of the things that they would do is they would help with non-medical issues. So if you need help bathing and dressing, if you need help with somebody for personal care, for they can't do the laundry anymore because they can't go down the stairs, and the washer and dryer is in the basement. So they would help with those kinds of things. They might even help you with going to the grocery store and shopping for you and getting groceries, because you can't do that on your own anymore. It's too heavy to carry the bags. There's so many things that they can help you with. They help with homemaking, to clean up your home a little bit so your home is safer and cleaner for you. There's all kinds of things that the home care services can offer to people, and so we really recommend that you call them as soon as possible, and they'll go out and tell you what you're eligible for. Anyone who has an Alzheimer's diagnosis, doesn't matter what age they are eligible for services through an ASAP, okay? So some people just need medication reminders, and so they would go into the home and do that too. We get a lot of requests from people who are still working. They have somebody at home who's on medication and they can't remember to take their meds. So could you send somebody into the home one day a week for half an hour just to do that, medication reminders. So those are all kinds of things that ASAPs do. Do you have any questions that you want to ask about ASAPs? Okay, let's move on. I have just a couple of interesting statistics about caregivers. In Massachusetts alone, there are 600,000 informal caregivers. And of course, everybody knows older Americans are the fastest growing population group, and the largest group among the people are age 85 and over. And according to the Alzheimer's Association, nearly 50% of all Americans over the age of 85 will have Alzheimer's or some other related dementia. So that's an important figure as time goes on and the older generation is living longer and increasing, then we're going to have more and more people with some problems. So 1 in 4 households include someone who is caring for an ill relative or friend age 50 or over. And 60% of all caregivers are women, but there's more men now involved in caregiving than ever before. 59% of caregivers work still outside the home. They still have to work. They're taking care of people that are a little younger now than they used to be, and so that's a big issue, how to take care of somebody and also maintain a job. And 30% of the caregivers caring for seniors are themselves age 65 and over. So we often see people that are in their 90s caring for someone else in their 90s, their spouses, that also have Alzheimer's or a related dementia. So it's very, very difficult, and people need support. The caregivers do need support. So please call either the Alzheimer's Association, call any of the ASAPs. People are there to help. It's very hard to be a caregiver by yourself. That's for sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joyce. So if you're Frank and Mary and you own your home and it's worth $400,000 and Frank has an IRA worth $200,000 and they've got savings, if they've got assets of $800,000, if Frank has income from Social Security, say $1,500 a month, and from a pension $750, and Mary has income of $750 a month, so they've got actually total income of $3,000 a month, they are eligible for the programs that you were just hearing about, right? The programs to help folks in these early stages to deal with trying to stay at home, to get some home care, to get Meals on Wheels, to get Lifeline, to get support services and help with support groups. You're eligible for all of those things now. There are no asset restrictions regarding any of this. Later on, if Mary needs more serious help, then there is a large program that would be willing to through which Mass Health, the state name for the Medicaid program, would provide much more extensive services at home. In order to qualify for those, there are asset requirements, but in that case, if Mary needed to qualify for those programs, while she could not have assets of more than $2,000, Frank could have unlimited assets. So even in those situations, it may very well be that people with substantial assets can qualify to help and get those kinds of services at home.
With Frank and Mary, Eldorado, with Frank and Mary, yeah.
zone. Don't forget the popcorn, Frank.
Coming, dear.
Now, stepping back though, once you know that there's an issue, that your loved one has an issue, one of the most important things that you need to deal with is you may very well be able to stay in your home. Frank and Mary may be able to stay in their home for a long time, as long as they're safe. As long as they're safe. As long as Mary doesn't fall down, as long as Mary doesn't wander off, as long as the house is a safe place. So the question is your house a safe place? So that's why I asked Carol DiRienzo from Solace Renovations to come in. The reason why, I've done a lot of presentations with Carol. She's a registered nurse. Her husband was a contractor. They decided to start a business. And the business was focusing on helping people who want to stay at home by trying to adapt their homes. I was amazed by the number of adaptations that are available and that are financially feasible for folks. I'm going to talk about finances a little bit at the end, but I wanted Carol to talk about what those kinds of improvements to the home might be that can make Mary safe so that Mary and Frank can stay at home. Carol?
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you all for coming. Imagine waking up in that house that you've loved for all these years and not knowing where you are, or not knowing how to get to the bathroom, how to get to the kitchen. Those are some of the things somebody with dementia faces on a daily basis. So we're going to talk about some general tips in which you can do to make your home a little safer for a loved one who may be suffering from dementia. In regard to safety, we always think prevention. What can we prevent from happening? How can we adapt the environment? And how can we minimize the danger? So there's really 4 elements that we look at when we want to streamline a home for somebody who may be suffering from dementia. Simplify, label, secure, and modify. Simplify. So this is my daughter's bedroom from long ago. If you had dementia, you would not know where you were regardless because it was a mess. It was cluttered and cluttered and cluttered. But somebody who has no clutter around for them can process their environment a little easier. So one of the first things we recommend is to remove clutter from all the pathways that somebody may walk to. So if you have some beautiful, what we call tchotchkes out and about, but they may be in the way of somebody walking down the path, we request that you remove them or put them to a safer spot so somebody may not trip into them. Papers all around the place. As you have dementia, your balance may get a little bit unsteady, or your eyesight starts to deteriorate. You have a hard time understanding depth and perception. So there may be a stack of papers that may have to be stepped over, while that person may trip over instead. We tell people to remove or cover mirrors. And the reason why is somebody with dementia sees that reflection in the mirror and doesn't know who it is and gets frightened. So those are one of the other things we recommend. Scatter rugs and throw rugs for the same reason. You can slip and fall. That's pretty a standard thing that we do in all home assessments, is tell people to remove their scatter rugs. Remove portable space heaters or fans, because somebody with dementia doesn't know how to operate them and doesn't remember and could get injured either by burnt or have their fingers hurt in the fan. Poisonous plants, not something that you usually think about as a plant, but somebody with dementia may not understand that that's not the fig tree that they used to grow back in their garden, and may try to eat something from that plant. Poison control is a wonderful number to always keep on hand by your phone, just in case something does happen. Electrical cords, as you can look down here, this is a trippable electrical cord. So we always try to make sure that people keep their electrical cords.
I brought that with me as a demonstration.
Yes, he did. He does that for me. So we tell people to either keep very short cords or tape them to the floor so that somebody doesn't trip over them. Fish tanks, pet habitats. Somebody with dementia doesn't understand anymore that that pet was a loved one sometimes, and can try to eat the dog food or the kibble, can try to play with the fish or go fishing. So we tell people to try to limit the areas in which pets are. And then artificial fruit. I know on my refrigerator I have 1,000 magnets, and since I have grandchildren now, I've moved them way up, because the kids think that's something to eat, something to play with. So artificial fruit, magnets that are shaped like fruit, something that would be confusing to somebody that is not what it should be. Those things we tell you to remove. Label. One of the wonderful things is that if you label where things are for a person with dementia, it will help and guide them. Sometimes you can use word labels, as the previous slide showed, or sometimes you could use pictures. So at each phone, we tell people to place a card with emergency numbers and home address, so that if something does happen, the person with dementia may understand and say my name and address. We tell people to use a photo phone, because somebody with dementia may say, okay, I remember that's something bad is going on, so I can press that number and reach 911. Photo phones, photos of loved ones. When you do some events with dementia, they tell you to keep a photo book and show people pictures. They may associate, okay, that picture is somebody I know. If I need help, I can call that picture. We also recommend that you have an answering machine set to the lowest amount of rings that picks up right away, because somebody living at home with dementia really can't answer that phone and process what's going on. And so you'll get your messages and they won't have to be worried about it. We also call cordless phones and cell phones and equipment in a safe place, because somebody with dementia may pick up that phone and not understand what it's for and could call China. Label of contents in cabinets, drawers, and closets. So closets and drawers that you do want somebody with dementia to go into, we tell you to label or put pictures of the cups, of the glasses, of the food, of their underwear, their pants, their shirts. Label rooms and doors that are allowed to be used. Bathroom. Put a stop sign by doors that are not allowed to be used, and put a no soliciting sign outside the front door. You don't want somebody, same as with the phone, to come to the front door and to solicit somebody with Alzheimer's who's not going to understand and process and may sign you up for a gym membership that you're not going to be using, or a roof repair that you don't need. Secure and modify. Doors. Some of the things that we recommend is to put a lock, a bolt, either very high or very low on the door, so the person with Alzheimer's doesn't understand where it is and how to access it. We tell you to keep a key for that door right by the door in a hidden spot, and a key outside in case you should happen to get locked out. Alarms, bells, signals. I tell people now's a wonderful time. Christmas is coming, a little early to every store in America, but Christmas is coming, and they have a lot of sleigh bells out now. Hang a sleigh bell by your door so that if you hear that bell go off, you'll know that somebody's trying to go out that shouldn't. Paint the entrance and forbidden doors the same colors of the wall. We talked before about visual acuity. Somebody with dementia cannot really understand when everything is painted the same color, that there's a door there. It allows it to blend into the scenery. But a door that you do want somebody to use, like their bedroom door, the bathroom door, put it as a different color, as a wood door versus a painted door, because that way the person knows, okay, that's a door to go in, and if there's a picture or label in front, okay, that's the bathroom. Glass doors. We tell people to place curtains over glass doors or decals on the door at eye level, so the person with dementia will know, okay, this is something here, whether they understand it to be a glass door or not, but they understand that there's something there to help them see. Remove codes, keys, cell phones from exit and entry areas, because it doesn't remind a person that that's a way out. Install safety knobs and covers on all doors. Go to Home Depot. They have a whole safety section. They sell packages of knob covers. That is a little bit difficult for people, hard for me to do it with my grandchildren as well, but it is difficult for people to open the door. It's a wonderful, inexpensive way. We'll talk about them again. They make them for both knob handles, and now they make them for lever handles, since lever handles are becoming much more popular. Windows. Install limiting bars so that people can only open the window a little bit and can't crawl out. We talked about electrical cords and switches. We also recommend, in that same safety section, getting plug covers, because somebody who doesn't understand how to activate a machine, putting it in. If it's blocked, they can't even get there. Have smoke and CO2 detectors in the bedrooms, halls, and check your batteries often. Have an escape plan and practice. That's the most important thing. It becomes a routine. So if you practice an escape plan, when somebody with dementia hears that alarm, they'll say, hopefully, if it's practiced enough and it becomes a learned process, they will know what to do. Have fire extinguishers accessible but hidden. When we talk about fire extinguishers, the kitchen is usually the place that is one of the most insecure places in our homes. They now make automatic shutoffs for your stoves, both gas and electric, so that if somebody with dementia does feel the need to cook and walks away forgetting that they started it, it will automatically shut your system down. They also make fire suppression systems that fit right up underneath a hood, so that if something should catch on fire, it'll immediately extinguish it. Unplug, as I said before, small appliances, your microwave, your coffee pot, your toaster, because if it's not functioning and the plugs are covered, then the person doesn't have access to it. Remove spoiled food from the refrigerator. I know Julie had talked about one of the signs is there's a lot of spoiled food. A person with dementia, both taste and acknowledgement, will not understand that that food is spoiled. We talked about child-proof latches in the outlets, but also put them on your cabinet drawers and doors, especially to any cabinets with have breakables, cleaning products, medicines, alcohol, matches, knives, sharp utensils, the plastic bags like shopping bags, and the family trunk drawer. That is a universal drawer. That's one that he probably or she probably has always used, but it's a license for a lot of issues.
With Frank and Mary, Eldorado, with Frank and Mary, yeah.
Frank, hurry. Mr. Bergeron's on. Don't forget the popcorn, Frank.
Coming, dear.
Remove or unlock all hand tools, power tools, guns, machinery. Put them in a locked garage, a locked shed, a locked basement, someplace that doesn't have access, because the person with that tool does not know how to use it and can become very, very injured. Stairs. First thing we recommend on stairs is trying to have, if there's enough room, a handrail on both sides, because it helps your gait going up or down. Mark the stairs with contrasting tape. Again, visual acuity. If somebody sees the edge of the stair, they'll know, okay, that's the edge of the stair, the next step, the next step, the next step. Use gates at the top and the bottom of the stairs. In a bathroom, I am on the Install the Grab Bar in Every Bathroom in America campaign. They're wonderful to have and use whether you're 3 or 103. Use a contrasting color toilet seat. Again, we talked about before visual acuity. A white toilet seat on top of a white toilet bowl, person may not understand what that's all about. But if you put a contrasting toilet seat, then they can see, okay, I'm supposed to go in here. Remove or lock all medicines, cleaning products, shaving equipment, hairdryer, and small electronics from your bathroom. Label hot and cold levers. Person may not remember which side is which. I know I don't always. Label shampoos and conditioners so the person with dementia will know, okay, this is for my hair first, this is for my hair second. Use a foam cover on top of a tub spout in case if there ever is a fall, then that foam cover will help prevent some injury. Use anti-scald units. As we all get older, our skin gets a little thinner and we get more burns from hotter water. So set on your hot water heater to the lowest temperature that is good for you, but also use anti-scald units because they will only get to a certain temperature that you set and they won't go any higher. Lighting. Lighting is one of the best things that we can do for all of us, whether you have dementia or not. We install night lights in bathrooms, kitchens, and hallways, making a pathway to get the person from point A to point B. Reduce glares on counters, floors, and windows. Again, if somebody has a big glaring spot, they may think that's a puddle of water. So we try very much to reduce as much glare as we can. Make sure and install adequate lighting everywhere possible. Smoking. If the person with dementia is allowed to smoke, make sure that they are monitored because they will forget that they've lit a cigarette or a pipe or a cigar. If possible, remove matches, lighters, ashtrays, and all accoutrements because they may not remember that they even smoke. So it's healthier for them as well. Place red tape around your floor vents, your radiator heaters, because red, people remember back in their brains that red means stop, and so this way they will prevent burns from them. Eliminate trippable hazards outside, such as potted plants, hoses, whatever may be in the way. Shovels, just put things away so that people don't see them. Secure your gates to your pools, your yards, your sheds. Cover your gas grills because they won't remember that that is what that is. Keep your trash bins covered and locked if possible because people with dementia may think that's a place to go and find something that they've lost. Keep small pets out of walking areas. Personal, notify police and your neighbors, your relatives, that this is an issue that you're dealing with and there may be a potential to wander. Give the police a recent picture and pertinent information should somebody become lost, as well as hooking up with the Alzheimer's Association in their lost prevention system. A personal emergency response system is one that you can use as well. They do have GPS locators on them now. Keep an unwashed article of clothing in a plastic bag. Sounds strange? It helps the guide dogs with the smell track the person who may be lost. Another thing we tell people is to create a safe box, some treasured items that that person may have that they can go through on their own. And for caregivers, we say create a room just for you. Put a do not disturb sign on it, and every few minutes that you need, go in there and just take a deep breath and say, I can make it another day. Thank you, Arthur.
That's terrific. Thank you. I remember first saw Carol do that, and I was just saying to myself, there are so many possibilities that I just kind of never thought about, that it's really, really important. So the question, though, when you're kind of going through that and you're Frank and Mary, is you start adding things up and you say, oh, well, a lot of these things are like free. They're just kind of organizational things. But some of them cost money. Many of them cost money. And if you're Frank and Mary and you own your home and it's mortgage free and you've got some cash, but not a lot, and you want to make sure you keep some around, how do you afford it? Well, I guess there are two programs that you should be aware of. You're aware generally of the concept of reverse mortgages, and I never tell younger clients to use reverse mortgages because it's just a mistake. You know, there are so often times I'll find people who are 65, 66, they're retiring, they don't want to face the fact that their income just dropped to their Social Security check or their pension, and so they're tempted to use the equity in their house to try to supplement their income. That money's going to run out really fast if you do that. On the other hand, if you're 70 or 80 and you're Frank and you really want to keep Mary home and you're concerned about making sure you've got some reserves of cash, a reverse mortgage may be the ideal way of making sure that you can do the home improvements that you need without thereby increasing your monthly expenses, because reverse mortgages, you're not making a monthly payment. Instead, the payment that you would be making in every month gets added to the amount that gets owed on the reverse mortgage. So, reverse mortgages, what are they? This is very, very brief. They are the amount that you get in a reverse mortgage is based on three factors. One, the age of the youngest borrower. Two, the lesser of the appraised value of the house, and the maximum lending limit. The maximum that they will consider the value of the house to be for purposes of the reverse mortgage is $625,000. So Frank and Mary's house would definitely include all of its value. And the current interest rate. To give you a quick example, at today's rates, if Frank and Mary were 70 years old and their home value were worth $400,000, they'd be able to get a reverse, and the youngest of the two of them were 70, they'd be able to get a reverse mortgage for about $245,000. What I would recommend that they do in this case is not take all the money out, get the reverse mortgage in place. The upfront costs of doing that are going to be significant, about $16,500, right? But that can all be rolled into the reverse mortgage, so that Frank and Mary were not going to be having to use some of their cash to get the reverse mortgage. Then don't pull anything out until you think that you need it. Now you've at least got this this basically very, very big line of credit in place in case you need it. If suppose that Frank and Mary looked at the totality of their house and all of the changes that they wanted to make, from a ramp in the front to maybe replacing the appliances with those that shut off automatically, doing a number of little things. Suppose it all added up to $40,000, a lot of money. In this case, Frank and Mary would still have remaining in their line of credit about $189,000 to use in the future. So a reverse mortgage is never ever your first choice, but if Frank and Mary's goal is to stay in that house until they die and be buried in the backyard, and they saved all their life to make sure that that house was paid for, why not use that house to allow them to stay where they are? Now I know Frank and Mary are always going to tell me, yeah, but you know, we really wanted to leave that house to the kids. And that's great, if you can. But if you can't, and the choice is between leaving the house to the kids, which of course, you're not really going to leave it to the kids, they're going to sell it, and they're going to divide up the money, right? Or staying at home until you die. You have to take care of yourselves. You earn the money, and your children will tell you that, will tell you to use that money on yourselves. One other thing, if the loan modifications are for up to $30,000, and if the income of Frank and Mary is less than 200% of HUD median income, they can qualify for a special, basically a reverse mortgage through a state program called the Home Modification Loan Program. This is not based on credit worthiness. This sounds just like a regular reverse mortgage. You can get a 0% deferred payment loan with no monthly payments, and the loan gets repaid when you sell the property, so it works just like a reverse mortgage, or a 3% amortized or deferred loan payment depending on your income. So in Frank and Mary's case, if they have household income for a family of two that is less than $75,600 a year, and remember their income is $30,000 a year, I don't know very many seniors who are, the two of them have an income of higher than $75,000 a year, right? As long as it's lower than that, you're eligible for a 0% loan for up to $30,000 to take care of these kinds of issues, as long as the purpose of the loan is to make these kinds of home modifications to allow you to stay at home. In summary, you got to get to know the Alzheimer's Association. You want to, if you're Frank and Mary, you want to make sure that Mary is getting out of the house every day, getting outside, socializing. You want to know Bay Path Elder Services. You want to make your home safe. And if it's going to cost you some money to do that, and you don't want to dip into your savings, and you're Frank and Mary, you want to consider either a regular reverse mortgage, which will give you a lot of money, or a smaller, basically a reverse mortgage that the state's going to help you pay for at 0% interest for up to $30,000. So the programs are available if Frank and Mary or you and your loved one want to stay home as long as you possibly can. It's just a matter of going to find them. You want to know who the people are. Hopefully it's been helpful to you to get to meet some of these people today. Thank you very much. Any questions to any of my folks here? If not, could I ask for a quick round of applause again for my wonderful guests? Thank you very much for coming. They'll be available for questions. We all will afterwards if you got any particular questions. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.